Kodak Black is one of the most popular and successful hip-hop artists of the last decade, and it's not even close. He has sold millions of records, has a #1 album, and several top 10 Billboard hits. Kodak Black is also one of the most openly demonic rappers in the industry as well, from his lyrics, to his music videos, his hand symbols, to him even confessing to sacrificing real people in his music. In today's episode, we will explore the very interesting rise in Kodak Black's career, his suspicious relationships, and even down to his demise. Welcome back to another episode of Didi Got a Podcast, and of course, I'm your host Didi. Here to talk to you today about Kodak Black. Kodak Black is currently trending because former, or maybe even still active NBA player Michael Beasley went onto a podcast just a few days ago, and he went viral because he stated that Kodak Black is not only a better rapper than Kendrick Lamar, but he's a much better rapper than Kendrick Lamar. And the only thing that Kendrick Lamar can do better than Kodak is put words together. He said Kodak Black is heard around the country and played more often. He said he has more cadences and he has a lot more hit records.
I think Kodak better than Kendrick.
What? Bees,
Yeah.
come on, Bees.
Do it. Do it. A new cadence every time.
Bees, stop,
He-
man.
he-
like saying-
hey, been on the
Please
charts
stop.
every year.
That's like saying I think I'm better than you and who?
No, it's not like that.
Yes, it is.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
But something that I've always found very interesting about these conversations, especially when it comes to people that look like me when we're rating these rappers, is when we're talking about who's the best, how come we never pay attention to the lyrics or the music videos or the symbolism? Like, does that matter? Like, even a little bit? Like, what's the criteria? Do you care about what they say in their music? For example, Rick Ross said, "I put Molly in her drink, she didn't even know it." I will never put you in any top list of anything when you are advocating and bragging about raping a woman on a track. I put Molly in her drink, she didn't even know it. We looking at rape, we looking at kidnapping, at the very least. Things that if you did in real life, you would get in trouble for. So the same thing should be applied to people like Kodak Black and Kendrick Lamar, because the truth of the matter is Kendrick Lamar and Kodak Black are in the same category when it comes to misleading the masses and making destructive music, despite the narrative around Kendrick Lamar being a quote-unquote conscious rapper. But I've made several videos on Kendrick Lamar, and I've proven that already. Even though he has a lot of songs that I like that are conscious in nature, he also has a lot of destructive music, and that's by design. That's called confusion, which is a practice of Freemasonry. But I digress. Today's video is about Kodak Black. But before we get into that, hit the like button on your way in. I would really appreciate it. For my Patreon members, please be on the lookout. First and foremost, I did just drop part 2 of the Shannon Sharp Who Do You Serve? So please go and check that out. I am currently working on a 2-part documentary on Clive Davis, the person, one of the many people behind P. Diddy, because it does not start or stop with P. Diddy. Clive Davis is an even bigger monster, and we're going to break him down to an atomic level, similar to how I did with the Martin Luther King documentary. So be on the lookout for that. So if you want an uncensored version of my videos, please check out my Patreon. Link is in the description. Without further ado, let's get into Kodak's story. Kodak Black was born in 1997 in Pompano Beach, Florida, in a housing project known as the Golden Acres. Raised by his mother, a Haitian immigrant, he lived in poverty and began rapping in elementary school as an outlet or a hobby, just like many other urban city kids, right? And from a young age, he was in and out of trouble, just like a lot of urban city kids. And he even spent some time in juvenile detention and would eventually get kicked out of school. But at the same time, he was also developing his skills in making music by recording at local studios inside of trap houses in Florida. So something I want to point out just really early here, this is a trend you're going to notice across my channel, is that the music industry purposefully targets a lot of young boys, a lot of young girls that come from fatherless homes, right? There's a father missing from the household or from their life. They have a lot of run-ins with the law, and they are what you would call at-risk youth. And they purposefully target these people because they're a lot easy to manipulate. They're a lot easy to help push the message that the music industry wants to push, to help with their hip hop to private prison pipeline that we've also discussed on this channel as it pertains to the CIA and their ties to the music industry. Well, Kodak Black was no different. Kodak Black would then join and begin rapping with a local group in Florida called the Brutal Youngins. And just before 2014, in December of 2013, he released his first mixtape called Project Baby. And then from there, the rest is history. He would continue to gain notoriety and fame before a clip was surfaced online in October of 2015 of Drake dancing on a private jet to Kodak's song called Skirt. Conveniently enough, Kodak would then sign a record deal just later that same month with Atlantic Records. Now, this is another common thing you'll see in the music industry. They'll use other big artists and they'll make it seem as if they organically found these artists or came across this song and that they're just posting it to their Instagram randomly, when all of it is marketing. All of it is by design. This is what I need a lot of people to understand. These people like Drake. Drake is a brand, right? He's not just a brand. He's a multi-billion-dollar brand. Whether he's a billionaire or not, he's easily generated billions of dollars in revenue for the music industry alone. So everything, when you see a person of that status, of that magnitude, like a Drake, or Aubrey Graham, you got to understand every single thing that they post, every single thing that they do when they show up for an interview, when they show up with these streamers, everything is intentional. Everything is by design, right? Because Drake would normally just take your style or your flow if he don't want to give you any credit, right? Like the song he has with J. Cole, which is one of the few instances. Drake has been accused of this a lot, but this is one of the few instances I've heard very little people talk about. Drake has a song with J. Cole called First Person Shooter. And the flow at the end of that song by Drake, he 100% stole that from TK, who can't speak up for himself, is serving like a 60, maybe 120-year prison sentence for committing murder. That's what Drake typically do. He just take people's style and benefit from it. He jumps on people's tracks and benefits from it that way as well. Well, this is another way. They'll also use Drake to hop on people's podcasts who are relatively, and by relatively, I mean 100% not known at all. Like Bobby Althoff, who is an industry plant. Well, this is no different. They use Drake to help catapult Kodak Black into the mainstream, right? And this is a red flag because Drake is also a high-level warlock. Everything I say in this video is alleged. He is also a high-level warlock as well. So this is one of the first red flags because the fact that he was dancing to this relatively unknown rapper at the time, like he was making some noise in Florida, Kodak was. But the fact that Drake decided to share this clip was all the early signs that Kodak Black was not just another random rapper that was talented, because there's a lot of talented rappers. The second red flag is the Donald Trump pardon. All right, so for those of you that don't remember or don't know, Kodak Black was actually granted a presidential pardon by Donald Trump on January 20th, 2021, during Trump's final hours in office. And the pardon actually freed Kodak from a nearly 4-year federal prison sentence he was serving for falsifying information on firearm applications.
I got the lyric. It said, "I'd change my life tonight if Donald Trump reduced my sentence." He not only reduced his sentence, he pardoned you.
All that good
It's hard. That's hard. It's never been done before. Yeah, how did that happen? Like, you in the cell and they just said...
He Gemini again. He a Gemini like me. His birthday 3 days after my and I wear like he be vibing out here too.
What?
Trump is a Gemini?
I didn't know that. Hey.
Yeah, I'm a Gemini.
Are you Gemini when you're
28th. May 28th.
Okay, my 6'11", my 6'11", Trump 6'14".
Now, what would make Donald Trump, first and foremost, how does Donald Trump even know who Kodak Black is? He doesn't listen to hip hop. Kodak Black is from a completely different generation. How does he know? People online have said, well, they share the same lawyer. Really? You think it's simply because they happen to share the same attorney at one point in time that this man deserved to get a pardon when he was facing 4 years in prison? Okay, I don't think that's why. I believe that Donald Trump and Kodak Black took the same oath. That's my personal opinion. And part of the reason why I believe that is because this is not the only time that Kodak Black has been able to get off, for the most part, free of all charges when he's facing very serious time for committing very serious crimes. In 2016, he was accused of assaulting and SAing a female victim. In 2019, he was facing weapon charges that was dropped in favor of drug treatment. In 2023, he was facing drug and evidence tampering charges. All charges was dismissed. In 2024, he had a probation violation and a drug possession, and that was resolved with time served and dismissal of substantive counts. Now, I mentioned the fact that I believe that Kodak Black and Donald Trump has taken the same oath, and I'm standing on that. People have told me before in the past, Donald Trump is not a Freemason. Freemasons have already come out and stated this. Listen, I'm not going to be irresponsible on this channel, and I try my best not to, and whenever I'm wrong or proven wrong about something, I always backtrack. I try to be responsible, but I'm going to say it this way. I highly believe that Donald Trump is a Freemason. From the hand symbols that Donald Trump has been making in many of his interviews over a number of different years, he's been making these hand symbols. All hand symbols we've covered on my Patreon, and we've delved really, really deep into what these hand symbols mean, because these are not just regular people that are giving their fingers or their hands a purpose while they're sitting down or standing up. Everything that they're doing is intentional. They know that the cameras are on them. But another very odd thing about Donald Trump was apparently Donald Trump went overseas to receive some sort of degree for, I believe he was in school for business or something. And myself personally, I've never seen any sort of graduation ceremonial event look like this. But Donald Trump, 100%, a lot of people believe to this day that Donald Trump was actually being initiated as a Freemason in this ceremony, and that they called it something else. I'll leave you all to believe what you want to believe, but I wanted to at least present it to you so you can have your own thoughts about whatever you think, what the heck that was we just watched. But the Kodak Black and Donald Trump weird connection and presidential pardon gets even stranger when you come to find out that Kodak Black was and has always been anti-Trump and anti-MAGA. So much, in fact, that he even played out a skit in one of his videos for tunnel vision. That's how much he was against Donald Trump. How do you go from that to all of a sudden you're pro-Trump? Trump is giving you a presidential pardon, and you're even attending his rallies. It's one thing to just appreciate the pardon and be like, I appreciate you, still don't like certain things about you. But the fact that you attended one of his rallies makes this a little bit more strange at the very least, and suspicious and eye-opening at the very most. The next red flag about Kodak Black is the cloning rumors. Once again, I'm not going to be irresponsible and pretend like I know for a fact that Kodak Black has been cloned. I'm not going to state that I'm an expert. I'm not an expert on the topic, but what I will tell you is that there's been a lot of strange behavior when it's come to Kodak Black from him. In my personal opinion, he's looked very much so different in several different pictures. There have even been fans who have said that in one instance, they'll see him and his hair is one length, and then right after that, his hair is a completely different length, and they're not really sure what to make of it. And then I gotta throw this in there. It was a recent picture that was posted of Donald Trump, where this is not Donald Trump. I don't care what you say. You can feel how you want. This is a picture that surfaced online of Donald Trump at some sort of event. And this is not Donald Trump. I don't know who this is supposed to be, but you got people out there who say that they believe this is a double. I'll leave you to believe what you want, but I'll also leave you with this clip that's always stuck with me over the years of Dick Gregory, comedian and activist who marched with Martin Luther King Jr. during the Civil Rights Movement, which, by the way, I have a much extended version, and I'm talking probably an extra 45 minutes to an hour long to add to the 2-hour documentary, the Martin Luther King documentary that I have, covering many more things, further proving everything that I said about Martin Luther King, and this is going to be undeniable. But anyways, I'm going to leave you with the clip from Dick Gregory, where he said many, many years ago that there are two Donald Trumps.
A few weeks
ago. First, there's two Trumps.
Okay.
The one in the red tie is the real one. The one in the blue tie is not. The one you saw last night after the victory was the blue tie. Now, if you would punch up Dr. Carson, Ben Carson, when Trump called him a pedophile, and the next day he joined Trump. And the guy asked him, see, every now and then you slip and say something? He said, why'd you do that? He said, there's two Trumps. I was with the good one. You see it there.
The fourth red flag about Kodak Black's career has been his lyrics, just like all these other artists. His lyrics and his music videos and his symbols. But in a lot of his songs and features, he's literally admitted who and what he serves. He has a song called At the Cross. And in this video, he is standing outside a church with all the signs of an occultic ritual taking place with candles and burning crosses in the middle of the woods. He has a song with the Latin artist, where the Latin artist is seen flashing the one-eye symbolism and other hand signs. Kodak then raps in Creole that he likes to drink blood, has had lunch with the Reaper, and claims to be evil as well. And to be honest, I don't listen to a lot of Latin music, but this artist actually has released other videos where he claims to be the devil, or claims to be a devil. He raps in front of a Freemason lodge, and even did the rebirth ritual, rising out of the casket. Kodak also claims in the song that he doesn't place all his trust in God, but instead he places his trust in his demon and takes people's life for no reason. Then he has a song titled Call It My Spirits, where he raps, reading through my third eye cause I got tunnel vision. Had to open my mind, then I opened the bins. It's like you gotta sell your soul for them to pay attention. Then he has a song called Close to the Grave, where he raps, sorry Lord, the devil got a hold of me lately. Knew I shouldn't have never let you close to me, baby. Then we gotta talk about his video for Super Gremlin. I don't know why we gotta even talk about this song. This is arguably the most demonic video he's ever released before, which by the way, he released this right after getting released from jail, one of the times that he went to jail. And this is one of his highest charting records. And it's not a coincidence that on one of his highest charting records, he decides to include all the demonic symbolism in this video, from the woman being dressed like a devil, so on and so forth. And you can't forget the song that he has with XXXTentacion called Roll in Peace, which by the way, if you haven't seen my XXXTentacion video, what are you waiting on? It's one of the craziest videos I've ever dropped on this channel. You want to check that one out, especially if you like this video. Anyways, Kodak Black, XXXTentacion literally have a song together called Roll in Peace, where you can literally hear Kodak rap the lyrics. They tried to give me 8, got on my knees like Jesus, please. He don't even believe in Jesus. Why he got a Jesus piece? If you want to leave, just leave. I remember when I was watching this song came out, it was very, very catchy, it was everywhere. And I remember thinking, I was like, they tried to give me 8, got on my knees like Jesus, please. Very, very crafty way to put the words together. Oh, what are you saying? They tried to give you 8, you got on your knees like Jesus, please. He don't even believe in Jesus. He said this himself. And somebody, you could argue, well, he was talking about somebody else. No, in the song, he's talking about himself. They tried to give him 8 years. He got on his knees like Jesus, please. And then he came back like he don't even believe in Jesus. Why he got a Jesus piece? He's admitting to you. I'm not saying I'm trying to force, being a follower of Jesus on everybody. I think that you should do it. I think it's the smart thing to do. But you can't be in some songs, in music videos, in churches, talking about one thing when it comes to God, but then saying in another song you don't believe in Jesus. Not to mention, Kodak Black, just like XXXTentacion with Ski Master Slump God, Kodak Black also has a friend who came out and said, bro, I'm not coming back around you. You're trying to sacrifice me.
Realize you pinch his nipples. You ain't no realize. You ain't no soldier. You pinch. Man, I'm glad I ain't was around for that. Then Donald Trump let you out on some wild party. Boy, you ain't about to sacrifice me, boy. I ain't hanging around your ass. You talking about pull up. I don't want to hang out with you, boy.
Then he has a song called Let Me Know, where Kodak is throwing up the one-eye symbolism. But the one I really want to talk about is a song called Testimony. But Testimony is really a song I really want to get to, because in this video, you can literally see Kodak being baptized in blood in a church rapping contradicting lyrics about being for God and being heaven sent, while also claiming to be like the devil, which is very similar to Eminem, DMX, and many others. Which, by the way, check out my Patreon exclusive that I mentioned earlier. In the Shannon Sharp video, we covered this, if you want to learn more about what these rituals mean on a deeper level. But in short, it means basically a rebirth ritual, right? Also considering the fact that Kodak is dressed in all white with everybody else in all black. Kodak also throws up the one-eye symbolism in this video as well. But he also claims in the song that he has sacrificed his own people because none of them see the best in him. Which brings us to his artist, Wiz the Wizard, which is one of the most demonic and crazy murders I've ever heard about in hip-hop history. I know Wiz the Wizard wasn't a large artist, but he was signed to Kodak. And I remember when this story first came out, I was like, bro, I gotta talk about this. But this was years ago when I had just started my channel and things of that sort. And I wasn't full-time on YouTube. But I'm gonna actually save the Wiz the Wizard situation for my next video, because that deserves its own video in full. And I know many of you have been waiting for the Wiz the Wizard situation. I just wanted to cover the Kodak story first, because we had to establish that the person that Wiz the Wizard is signed to is not only demonic, but he openly talks about it and shares it in his lyrics. And when you consider the fact that over the past maybe year and a half, we've been seeing Kodak in very similar weird situations where I remember one video, he was sitting out, laying out on the road, acting like he was strung out on drugs and just out of his mind, licking his fingers and just acting cuckoo, right? And then you got other situations where he's on live. Kodak Black just hasn't seemed right. Not to mention, Kodak Black has went through the quote-unquote, allegedly, has went through the blonde hair ritual. We've talked about that many times on this channel. It seems like at some point in all these artists' career, from Young Thug to Lil Wayne to streamers like Drewski, Playboy Cardi, Future, if I haven't said him, Kanye West, Pharrell. I mean, the list goes on. It seems like all of them go through a blonde hair ritual or a blonde hair phase at some point. Why is that? What is that about, right? Many people have speculated that the blonde hair ritual is 100% signaling to others that they've been through MK Ultra. They've been through the programming, which is not a conspiracy theory. MK Ultra is a real thing that was verified years ago. Because at some point, we got to stop calling it a style, especially when you got people like Kodak Black randomly doing it. Because no offense, bro, everybody got their own style, but you don't look right with blonde hair. So when I see these things, to me, it just seems obvious what this is about. But that's just me, though. But when you see Kodak Black spazzing out of control and seems to be out of his mind, and we seem to get different versions of Kodak Black at times, similar to how we get different versions of Donald Trump at times, I believe this is what comes with the industry, right? Because even if you want to argue that these people can make it to the top without quote unquote selling out, the industry will destroy you eventually. And we're going to talk about that in the Clive Davis documentary as well, because it's common practice in the music industry. We're not talking about like a regular 9 to 5. You get a job and you're expected to behave accordingly, show up on time. This is a completely different world. This is a world where your execs and your CEOs are openly doing drugs, storing cocaine in front of you, participating in orgies and things of that sort. This is the world that they're a part of. So how do you think these people from the hood, from the trenches, are going to act when they get all this money, and then the people who giving them the money are not only encouraging them to do drugs, but to live a demonic and a sinful lifestyle? Pray for everybody mentioned in this video, including Kodak. Hop in the comment section. As always, give me your thoughts. Look forward to that Wiz the Wizard video coming up next. It's going to blow your mind. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. Hit that like button on your way out. Shout out to all my Patreon and my channel members. I appreciate you. Until next time. Peace.
Oh yeah, Didi got a podcast.